Today I'm going to go over how to make postpartum oat balls. They are super delicious and amazing for after you've given birth and you just need some quick food. Hi everyone, I'm Cecilia and you're watching The Dairies. This is the recipe that I follow. I wrote this out while I was pregnant with Mason. Just running around. But I kept it. I was like, I don't want to lose this. So it's been through a move. It's been through probably about 2 years and multiple times being made. You can see it's like all like smudged up and like, this is my basic recipe that I wrote down. I don't follow it to a T, but I mostly do. I'm making what would be considered a quadruple batch this time, although I firmly believe that this is the minimum you should make, so this should be the kind of one batch. But if you just want to try them out, you can use a quarter of this recipe, and I will put them, any variations and stuff down below. But we already have about 16 times a single, so like I've made this quadruple batch 3 times. This is my 4th. We have most of them still in our chest freezer. We've eaten some, but I am now 39 weeks and 2 days, so I just want to have as many prepped as I can. Yeah, she's getting big in there. She probably won't be staying in for too much longer, hopefully, so let's get these done now. And then we'll have lots to eat when she arrives. We're gonna start off with 4 cups of rolled oats. I'm going to need a bigger bowl. Okay. To the 4 cups of rolled oats, we're going to add 1 cup of maple syrup and 1 cup of peanut butter. You could probably use any nut butter for this recipe. We just use peanut butter. You can also use smooth peanut butter for this step. Works just as well. But we just prefer crunchy in our house, so we don't have smooth. I used smooth last time when I was pregnant with Mason, and it was probably even a little bit easier to mix than the crunchy. But it doesn't matter to us. And I am totally just going to use my hands, because this is just for myself and my family. Now I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of salt. This is just table salt. I would use pink Himalayan salt, except for we don't have that much of it right now since we're in quarantine. So at this point, it's all mixed together. Those are the 3 ingredients that are in all of the variations. So now I'm gonna decide how many variations I wanna make. I think I only want to make 2, so I'm just going to split this now into 2 different smaller bowls. I'm not really too picky, to be honest, so we'll just say that's half. I'll start with this bowl. I'm going to make this chocolate raisin. Yeah, that's what I want. You actually could add to the bulk of it just cinnamon. It's really good. It's not like an ingredient in all of them, but I often add it to all of them anyway. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon. It's kind of like a heaping half, to be honest. Now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. Now we're gonna add almost a whole cup of raisins. Whoop. Never mind, more than a whole cup because that chunk fell. I'm just gonna go in with my hands. And it will probably be pretty crumbly at this point, but that is okay. Now we're gonna swap to this one. We're actually also going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a nice heaping half. Then we're going to add just some blueberries. These dried blueberries, you can get them at the store. but these are actually homemade. We're in quarantine. I didn't go out specifically to get dried blueberries, and we didn't have any in our house, but we did have a good supply of frozen blueberries. So I thawed them, and then I put them on a pan and put them in my oven at 225 if you have a dehydrator. That will work even better, but this works great. These blueberries were a little large, so the chunks came out pretty big, but make whatever you have work. So you want, about a cup, which is how much that I made. These blueberries are definitely much harder and with how big they are than the last ones that I made, which were a smaller variety of blueberries, or when I've gotten them just from the store. It's okay if it's crumbly at this point, because we are now going to take both of these bowls and pop them in the fridge. So it's been about half an hour, and I just took the first batch, this is the blueberry one, out of the refrigerator. I'm going to now roll them into balls and just put them onto this cookie sheet. Okay, so normally this recipe works out really, really well, but because the blueberries are so big this time around, I think I need a little bit more of the base, basically, just to bulk it up so that they're not as crumbly. All right, now I'm going to pop this one back in the refrigerator while I do the chocolate one. So I just reach in, grab a little handful. If it ends up being too much, I just kind of like pick some off. If I feel like I want a little more, I just pick a little bit more up. You know, you can make these any size you want. About a palm full is my general size. That's how specific I am. Okay, so I'm at the end, and as you can see, there are just like, actually you can't really tell, but there's about a handful of like peanut chunks from the crunchy peanut butter and raisins and a little bit of oats that will not stick together into a ball. So what I like to do with that is I actually just put it to the side, and then I'll do my next batch, and then at the end I'll put them all together, all the little end bits, and if I can make a ball, I'll make a ball, but if not, then I end up actually just putting it onto like some vegan yogurt or into my oatmeal or just something like that. One thing to take note of is that any that you do that have cocoa powder in them are not quite as sticky on your hands. Like if you can see, this one is much stickier, and I've actually always found that any that have cocoa powder in them are just generally easier to form into balls. So if you want them to be a little bit easier and you love chocolate, I would maybe suggest just adding cocoa powder to like all of them. But I really like ones without cocoa powder, so I just deal with the stickiness. I'll have to get my second hand involved for these ones where I didn't for the other one. But they're definitely holding together much better than the first batch after I've added more of the base in. So I'm just going to dig in and get rolling. So at this point, this is just getting really hard to work with. There's not much left. As you can see, I did quite a few. I added a little bit more oats, trying to see if that would help. But it was just getting really like sticky and just really hard to shape into balls. So I'm going to try adding a little bit of cocoa, see if that helps. Just finagle with it a little bit, because there's really no wrong way to go about this. Boom. Problem solved. I'm going to just pop these into the freezer. Basically, I like to freeze them like this, and then I move them into glass jars and put them in the freezer like that. But I just don't want them to stick together if they get a little too condensed in the glass jars. So if I freeze them like this, then they will stay individual in the glass jars and will come out easily, no matter how many I squish in there. I'm going to put blueberry. I'm gonna put cocoa / raisin. I prefer to use wide mouth jars for this job, but we are always out of our wide mouth jars for some reason. Well, no, not the jars, the lids. We seem to have a shortage of wide mouth lids, and Shaq just made soy milk, which he makes from scratch for us, and so most of our jars are being used for that, or else I would have used some of those jars for this task. So we're kind of just making do with whatever jars we have on hand. My cocoa raisin sticker right there. I always put it on the bottom because I store them upside down so that I can see the exact kind that's in there, not just the name. All right, so I don't always label every jar if they're all the same, but for these ones I think I will, just because they're so small that we'll finish off one container very quickly, and then we might not know what's in them if we finish off the one that has the name. So as you can see, that's actually a really simple recipe. Just throw them in your freezer, pull them out as you need them, and you will not regret it. They're so great postpartum. They're full of fats and protein and carbs and pretty much everything you need to keep yourself energized when it's, say, the middle of the night, and if you're nursing, you're up nursing, or you're just changing a diaper, or it's the middle of the day and you haven't been able to eat yet because you can't put the baby down, or any of those reasons, or just because you're hungry, or now I'm just rambling. You know, just, they're good. Make them. You won't regret it, I promise. Thanks for watching, and if you like this recipe, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're interested in more things, pregnancy, postpartum, mom, parenting life in general, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Hi.